This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
Rebel Scum Podcast. I'm Brock. This is
Andrew. I'm Brock.
What did Andrew announce? He took like a large pause at his little announcement. And I was like, too long, did not read.
So I'm a TikTok celebrity now, Brock. And one thing I've learned from my 200 views is you have to be short. You need to be like, I think 7 seconds is the TikTok cutoff point.
Yeah. I
think one of my biggest videos, which has, I think, 300 views, they last around 8 seconds. And so Andrew's pause was actually longer than TikTok video should be. He has 2 books coming out on Friday on Amazon. They're part of a Wizard series. I think I've read 1 or 2 of them. I pre-ordered them myself because I support Andrew, and I also he did a bunch of Marvel United videos on Digital Charcuterie channel, and they earned a lot of money, so I owe him also. So a lot of money. They're like 10 cents. You know how monetization is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's so easy to make money on YouTube. I mean, it is, I guess, but it depends on what you consider money. Basically, we still can't afford eggs. Not that you eat eggs anymore.
No, I don't.
But, you know, Star Wars.
Star Wars. What's in the news today for Star Wars?
You do the news. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's been a week. Look, Mando is, I think we're like just over double digits away from March. Like, no, we're less. They're like only a few days, like a week away. Whoa, wait, is next Wednesday March 1? I say March 1 like this week.
Yes.
We gotta sell by March 1.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a week today is Mando
Wednesday.
So I guess I'll be sick on Wednesday. On Twitter, that is, because it'll get ruined by 3:01. We're a week away from Mando, so things are starting to come out now. Jon Favreau got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Vince Vaughn wasn't there. I'm trying to find, did they have a falling out? I know they haven't worked together since like Couples Retreat, which was probably the greatest movie of all time. But Vince Vaughn is getting a star as well this year on the Walk of Fame, so Favreau's getting that. But things are starting to like roll now and take form, and Baby Yoda is a week away from being back in our lives, and I've missed him dearly. So that's where we are right now, Brock. Your audio's gone, so I'm just going to keep going until I hear you say a word. And one thing I really wanted to talk today was I still haven't seen The Bad Batch. I think that the series is great. No one is complaining about it whatsoever on social media. Most people find that it is a fantastic show that is flawless. I don't know if you're there or not. No, you're not. We have you 1 minute and then not the next. At least it's only an audio podcast. We can still see your face, though. You look great. So we're a week away from Mando season 1. Things are ramping up. Baby Grogu's about to come back into our lives, Brock. But before we get into that, because that's boring, no one cares about Mando. Star Wars Celebration is not happening.
It's in my news. You've already,
but it's in the rundown.
Yeah, but I'd already had the news.
We
we're going to talk about Mando season 4.
We won't talk about the. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, anyway, Mando season 3 is coming. We'll scratch that. Mando season 3 is coming, but beyond that, Mando season 4 is on its way. Yeah. And we heard from Giancarlo Esposito many, many moons ago, many Death Stars ago. He let it slip that it was a 4-season series. Whether that hasn't never been confirmed by anyone, I don't believe, but that's what he kind of slipped. And we've kind of hung on to that. That might not be the case with the success of the show and the spin-off shows. They might be looking past that, or it could end up 4 and Bo-Katan or whatever, Sabine Wren, someone like that could take over as a new flagship show for it. But Jon Favreau has written season 4 of The Mandalorian. For me, Brock, all that really says to me is we better not have to wait 2 years for season 4 like we did with season 3.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's like, it's weird because it's like we had a subpar Bad Batch yet again today, and it's like in a week we get Mandalorian again. It's like, okay. So that's exciting because like the fact that they like have already written something is like, it's like interesting because I finally listened to someone talk about the James Gunn like plan for DC, where it's like nothing gets made until a script is actually figured out. It's not a matter of like, here's our corporate solution, let's like plan this out properly because like we can make money, but like fans want some proper narrative. So like I think it's a good plan. I feel though like with James Gunn is like, that's a great idea that you've said it and it does make sense, but same note, it's like, well, you're a director and writer, of course, like you think that's the solution. It sounds good on paper, but we'll see how it delivers in the end. But I don't know. I'm excited either way.
Yeah, I'm curious about DC and how they handle it, because it's funny because DC missed the boat. Like Marvel came as the Dark Knight trilogy was winding down, right? And then Marvel kind of exploded and Man of Steel came out. And if Man of Steel would have come out a year, like maybe 2-3 years earlier, it might get received very differently. But Marvel had like already put its foot in the sand at that point, and people were like more in touch with what they were doing. And it wasn't right away, right? Like Dark Knight, like Iron Man is was a fantastic film. I haven't seen it in years. I don't know if it holds up. I don't think it matters to my point. But Dark Knight, Iron Man were the same year, and across the globe, everyone loved Iron Man. I'm not saying that, but across the globe, if you ask anybody what was better, Dark Knight was always the reason. And everyone was like, the answer, and everyone was like, can't wait for the next Dark Knight movie, right? And then by the time Dark Knight Rises came out, people were like, I don't want this dark crap. I want my Captain America in tights. And the Man of Steel comes and they miss the boat. So but then DC kind of had to like, right, like kind of be like, oh no, this is a shared universe. Even though Man of Steel, and I love that movie to death. It should never have been part of a shared universe. It was so isolated. And then they kind of made it work. I think in a lot of ways they did make it a shared universe, and they kind of made it work and they fit things around it. But now I don't know how we're getting into DC, but now it's almost like people are like tired of Marvel almost now. Not completely. They're still going. But the shared universe, like, Mando's doing it. Now maybe DC might be on the other end of it now. This is what I'm thinking. They're probably not, because I think shared universes are this phase of filmmaking. But yeah, it's funny to see DC always catching up. I'm just joking.
No, this is like our classic Rebel Scum deviation on, but like it raises a good point. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going now. Your choking has thrown me off, and now I'm worried that my audio is cutting out.
No, you're here. I think DC is able to do it a lot better than Star Wars, to be honest. To bring it back to Star Wars, because Star Wars isn't Marvel. It's very different, and I think TV. I think they've. But when I say that, I think like what they did with the sequels and then the spin-offs, it didn't work out the way Disney wanted it to, because they played it closer to Marvel. Whereas I think Mando, because they're basically starting from scratch, it's working out in the Marvel way a lot better with Bo-Katan, with Boba Fett. Because think whatever you want about the Boba Fett series, people watch the beginning of it, right? Like people were like, okay, this is part of it. We got to watch it. Like people watch She-Hulk and all these other Marvel things that they're not that interested in, because it's part of the lore, it's part of the bigger story that's going on. I think Mando's able to do that, whereas the movies haven't been able to, because they didn't start that way. They started as their own thing.
I saw some random article saying, like, the title, I didn't even read it because I was like, whatever. It's like Taika Waititi is like officially been announced to be like directing a Star Wars movie in 2025 or whatever, and it's just like, but it's going to be under rigorous like quality control by Bob Iger, and I'm just like, what? It's like there's like that guy's in charge of everything Disney. He's not going to like. I'm sure there is an idea of quality control especially when it comes to the movies, but it's like, well, we are in a new era where like we had a few successful ideas here. So Taika Waititi being part of one of them, it's like he understands how they roll in and granted, like film and TV is slightly different, but like I would argue those lines have like slowly overlapped over the day. So it's like if anything is possible. I just as much as there is an oversaturation of like just this genre style filmmaking, TV, whatever. It's just like at some point it's like just go see it. I mean, there are 10 Fast and the Furious movies, and people will still go see that. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't feel like Star Wars has pushed the mold on films, period. So it's like, well, why don't you just take a chance,
I think, well, that's I think for me, when it comes to the movies, and we're going to talk a little bit about those, but the thing for me when it comes to these movies, the Star Wars movies, is the Star Wars movies were about the misfit rebels, Luke, Leia, and Han, right? Like that was the original trilogy, and Chewie, but it was about them. Like it was just about them. And then the prequels came, and it was about Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, and an army. Like it got a little bit bigger and grander. And then, but during like from 1990 until like present day, with all the books and now with all the series and stuff, Star Wars has kind of become something that it never was to begin with. Hear me out. In that it's bigger now, it's grander now, and the films, if they're not like if you have to branch away from what the films were, but how do you do that in a way of maintaining Star Wars and what it is? But above all that, what is going to, and we said this before, but what is going to bring people to the theater to see it, aside from the name, continue to see it and invest their time in it as well, that differentiates it from the stuff we're getting on Disney Plus, but also keeps it Star Wars if you're going to remove all that is Star Wars from it in a lot of ways.
I don't know. Like, why are people watching Avatar? Like, have people been clamoring for Avatar in the last 10 years or whatever?
Oh, no, people are going to go see Star Wars.
I know. It's just sort of like, you ask a good question. It's like, well, what is it exactly? But like, I mean, I'm sure. I think Ant-Man's #1 in Canada right now. But like, yeah, of course. Like, it's the new movie, so it's like, I don't know.
Well, there's a point, but to your Avatar point though, Avatar has one thing going for it that I don't know that Taika Waititi's fake Star Wars movie or the other fake Star Wars movie that we hear about has, and that's a purpose. Like James Cameron was like, "This is why I'm making this," but I don't know. We'll find out. I'm not saying that. But like it almost like the sequel trilogy almost felt like we're doing it because we're doing it, right? Like that was always like their MO going into it, and they pulled it off. But like, why are you making a Star Wars movie? What is the point of it? Whereas Avatar 2, there's a point, like James Cameron's like, I have my water plans, haha. Like he knows what he's doing. That is what Star Wars needs. It needs somebody.
He's world building,
like.
Like from what I
haven't seen Avatar 2. I don't know what it's about.
Neither have I. But like what I gather from like why people are excited about it is like, look at all the new blue people. It's like there's this blue person and this person. I watched the first 20 minutes on a streamer. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I will see this movie at some point. My wife doesn't want to go see it, so like I'll wait for it to come out on Disney Plus. Which is like a good question. When the heck is it coming out on Disney Plus?
I think Disney's different. Disney's pretty good because they waited on Wakanda forever. They were like, we'll wait for February. Which was still only 3 months. Avatar's making so much money, they'd be stupid to put it on Disney Plus now. But I'm guessing by May you'll have it on Disney Plus. And I'm thinking Ant-Man will be April or May. Yeah. Ant-Man will be on Disney Plus. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think Star Wars is always going to make money in the theater, and I think Solo was the anomaly of all of it. I think there's a lot of things working against Solo.
Yeah.
And I don't mean before during production. I mean like on its release. I think the release was botched. I think there's a lot of things going against it for that. But I think Star Wars, and also it's Solo. It's not the big epic that Star Wars show. Like Solo is a Disney Plus show. So I think even though there was no Disney Plus back then.
So like season 4 Mando, it's getting written, and like I think a big part of this story is like it's going to tie to Ahsoka. You've written here Skeleton Crew as well. I didn't hear Skeleton Crew.
Yes, Jon Favreau was interviewed. I watched the interview, so I heard this from Fav's mouth. Yeah, and he said, so the point of it is he was like, he's talking about writing. He goes, I had to write season 4, and he goes, when I'm writing it, he goes, Dave Filoni is writing and the showrunner of Ahsoka, but he's executive producing it. So he knows what goes on there. So I'm paraphrasing. He knows what goes on there. So he kind of uses that knowledge while he's writing season 4. And then he also kind of said, and also with what's happening with the Skeleton Crew. And then he wrapped it up in a bow by saying they all take place in the same Star Wars timeline.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're all taking place. So Skeleton Crew won't be Lor San Tekka, it sounds like, which a lot of people were hoping. But it sounds like they're all taking place along each other on the same time frame. So I mean, Ahsoka might be a little bit after Mando, but they're all in that chunk after Return of the Jedi, which I think is cool, because I think what I was saying earlier is this is when you can do that, right? You couldn't really do it with the movies; it doesn't really work. But now you're starting from scratch. Do it, and Ahsoka has worked her way into Mando, I would say effortlessly. Like she's in there, she feels like a part of it now. That doesn't feel out of place. So use it. Just keep going with what you got.
Oh, I like that. I'm happy to hear about that. No real mention of a Book of Boba Fett season 2, but I like. There's no way we've heard the end of Boba Fett. Like,
there's another rumor about Boba Fett. I think it was Bestman Bulletin or Making Star Wars or something like that said something about. So this is all hearsay, but there is rumor somewhere that was it Making Star Wars Newsnet. It was something anyway. They said there was a show with Boba Fett in the works, and they were speculating that it was season 2 of Book of Boba Fett. But then when the thing that I read ended, it said that they weren't actually sure if it was a separate show or if Boba Fett would just be appearing in Mandalorian. So we haven't seen the end of Boba Fett, and we shouldn't. And do you think, Brock, because I loved Book of Boba Fett, and I think you liked Book of Boba Fett as much as you could, and I think a lot of people were underwhelmed by Book of Boba Fett. Do you think there's a place for a Boba Fett season 2 where Boba Fett is the Boba Fett that lives within people's imagination, where he just rides on Rancors and shoots people and blows things up and has disintegrations?
You had me at the beginning of that question. Oh, absolutely. That doesn't have to. You don't have to dumb down the character, though. I think, especially what we set up at the end of. I've said this before. Like, we know from the trailer of season 3, we're going to Mandalore, and there's a lot of like hypothetical, like who will lead Mandalore. So Boba Fett can fit into that, and I think like season 1 of Book of Boba Fett like kind of sets that up. I just think we just don't realize that yet. Which, you know what it is? It's like as much as they're planning ahead, I don't think they're like, okay, we have this many episodes to tell this story. They probably do with Mando, but like they're not like, I don't know if they're having the conversation of like, Boba Fett has this story and you have this many episodes to cover. But like the beautiful thing of what they set up so far with the end of Book of Boba Fett is that you can have all these stories cross pattern. It's not going to be like Arrowverse where it's like, oh, you're in this episode and then you're like, no, they're like, their stories are kind of making sense, and they're introducing the idea of like this story that ended in season 2 of Mando will continue in this. So it's like, I think that's going to be, and I think them writing ahead of time is like exactly, I think that's what they're going to try to do. Like there's always, each season's going to have its own story, but like, I think it's a genius move that if you like had an Ahsoka story end here, but then you're like, oh, here's the PS in season 4 of Mando, or like here's like I think that would be genius to constantly do, because it's like it hooks you on like, oh, remember this character? Well, you got to go watch this other thing, or you don't have to watch something like, but it's like, here's this. Isn't this interesting? Well, guess what? In a month, you get the rest of the story. You're like, oh, I'll watch that. So I think it's a great move. I think like world building is like minor like universes, like this Mandoverse. Like, go for it. It's awesome. So, and it's exciting because like we know we're getting Rebels characters in Ahsoka in live action. So it's like, oh, like could Bad Batch is around. So it's like, could we not possibly have a Rebels 2.0 cartoon after the Ahsoka series, like in some format? I don't know. This would be awesome though. All hypotheticals.
Yeah, I've heard people complain like, oh, I have to watch a different show to see how
Yes.
Baby Yoda comes back. Like, yeah, but it's not. I don't understand. Here's the thing, and I know I'm a Star Wars fan and blah 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 blah, but I don't understand how you could watch Mando and then not be even interested in watching the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't compute with me. Like I understand if you have no interest in Boba Fett, but he appeared in The Mandalorian. And then the season ended with him doing something drastic where you're like, oh, what's happening here? Like, wouldn't you be a little bit curious to see it? You don't have to like, you don't have to like it, but like, wouldn't you be a little bit curious? And then I think it's really kind of cool what they're doing too, because it is on streaming. So after it airs, it lives there. So you could go and be like, oh, you didn't want to watch it? Well, watch the last 3 episodes. Watch the last 2.5 episodes. And you could do, and the thing is when Disney first bought it, they're like, the books are legends. They don't exist. We're going to make everything connect. And everybody was like, rah! Now they're living up on that, on their word. Everything's connecting. And we're complaining because we have to see I would understand it if Baby Yoda returned to Mando in a comic or a book or a video game or a street art. Like that would be weird. But it's another Disney Plus show that is a direct spin-off of the Disney Plus show that the character was on. So it was a little jarring when it happened at first, sure. But when you look at it and it's all supposed to be one big connected story, I think it works. I think it's cool. And I think it is an experiment in a lot of ways. And I'm here for it because why not?
Can we all just come to the agreement that like we all have time for content and all we want to do is ingest content? Like obviously life gets in the way. James, you're a father now. You don't have as much time to watch things, and you want to watch them with your wife when you're relaxing. So you watch something you both want. There's always different like things. But why are always people like, why do I have to watch? I'm like, don't make it sound like you're like a secret alcoholic where you're just like, oh, I only have so much time. Like, get out of here. We can watch content anywhere. I watched a whole new series while working in the space of 3 days from, being on a train, having downtime. Like, it's just like, get out of here. Station 11, which is awesome, actually. Like, really, really good. So good that I read the book in a week. Like, it's just like,
while watching the show,
on my phone digitally. Like,
I use it. It's true about the time, but like when I sit and I'm just trying to get my daughter to sleep, I put on Brock. I've seen Ghostbusters Afterlife way too many times.
Sure. I'm not saying
no. There's a difference, but there is a difference though. No, there is a difference though. I put it on because I don't need. I put it on because I don't need to pay attention to it, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this is my problem. It's like, it's okay if you don't watch something, but it's like, everyone's like, oh, what do you mean I have to watch? I'm like, get out of here. Like, we live in a culture where like my parents watched the new season of Yellowstone. I know this because they hit the trial version of Paramount Plus on my Prime account, and they're like, oh, by the way, you're gonna want to double check that this gets. But it's like they did it in a day or 2 or 3 days. Like, everyone, you can do it. How much they do it's up to them, but it's just like, what do you mean? Like, get out of here. It's like, watch it or don't watch it. It's Star Wars. It's not that complex. The only complex thing I think is Andor, but its own thing right now. Like, get out of here.
That's the one that if you were like, I didn't watch Andor, I would kind of understand. But Boba Fett directly connects to the Mandalorian. Like,
that's
what I don't get. It's like, I'm not watching Book of Boba Fett. You can't make me. But why? Like, it's connected directly to the show that you do want to watch. If you don't like it after you watch it, that's fine. But you can't like Andor is so separate. I get it. You're like, I'm not interested in watching Andor. Fair. You'll probably love it and live to regret that decision. But like, that's what I don't get. And you're complaining about watching. If you're not a Star Wars fan, you're not a Star Wars fan. Then don't question where Baby Yoda comes from at the beginning of the season 3, because you're not really a fan anyway. So it doesn't matter. You're just watching the cute little puppet walk around, and I'm cool with that too because he's so adorable.
Like, Book of Boba Fett has Black Chrysanthemum as like an add-on character, and it's just like, regardless of how you feel about Wookiees, he's just visually appealing. Like, watch it for that. And then the Rancor stuff you were talking about, it's like, that looks cool. And Hutts, like, it's just visually. You could probably watch Book of Boba Fett in a day, give or take, right? It's
easily, I would say,
10 episodes.
Honestly, just watch the last 3 if you're really
exactly.
Just watch the last 3. I thought it was cool. I do definitely think, like, looking back on it, it was an experiment to see if that style of storytelling will work.
Yeah.
And I don't think they found their solution to that experiment yet, because I think Mando season 3 is where they're really going to figure out if it worked or not. Like now with every, but last week we talked about how they need to do that recap. Like, they should put all the episodes front and center. They did a recap trailer of all the events from season 1, 2, and Boba Fett that lead into season 3 of Mandalorian. Because I do think maybe the one thing they should do is they should have given it the subtitle like Mandalorian or something on the Book of Boba Fett, so people kind of like A New Hope wasn't A New Hope until whenever it was. Like, just to do that episode 4, just to kind of bring it all together, to let people know that this is a little bit more connected than you think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I don't know. It's just like, I think Star Wars, regardless of like if George Lucas creates it, I think Star Wars has always been like, here's the thing, and there's stuff in the background happening, and you want to find out more about it. So it's like, I think it's been the mantra ever. Like, why does all those random aliens in the background, they all have names so that they can make a action figure out of it? But like, that's like besides the point. It's like they're all kind of there. So it's like, why would you like one part of Star Wars and then get mad about something that Star Wars is known for, where it's like expanding on an idea? Like, I don't know. But it's a lot of Star Wars, so I get it. So you're gonna hate some of the Star Wars.
It's a lot of Star Wars, but it's like it's been spread out so far. Like, we haven't been. I mean, it was like Book of Boba Fett, and then we had to wait a little while for Obi-Wan. Like, last year was the most we've ever got, and this year, I think, is going to be the most we've ever got. Like, it's going to be even more. But I don't know. Star Wars Celebration is coming.
45 days away.
Yeah, we're going to find out what's going on there. Our good pal and patron, Phil Staniforth, will be going to one of the days there, so I'll have to talk to him about it. And then you have some info on it on the news. Do you want to go to Never Tell Me the Odds?
Never tell me the odds, James.
Graphic change. Never tell me the odds. Today's odds are brought to us by Patreon.
Patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. If you like what we do, why don't you support us with all the wonderful things that we do here? Sometimes our stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. And any financial support you can give makes this thing flow a little bit better. And if you support us, you become one of the wonderful people we praise every episode. People like Heidi Feder, executive producer. Oh, almost didn't say. Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Staniforth, Rez, Scott D, Josh Price,
Matt W, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Denners, and Dale Erdman.
Boom.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
You are all on the top of my list. And all of you, you know what? We are going to do a contest coming up for Patreon.
Ooh.
And the loser of that contest gets Andrew's book. the loser of the contest. The one thing, look, okay, my copy of Side Scroller is not with me, but the one thing I can guarantee you, if you do pre-order Fantasia's book, is it will make a great paperweight doorstop, and if you have like a hole in a brick wall outside, it's that it is. They're going to be so thick. I think it's almost 500 pages. I saw these books are like 500 pages. This guy sat down since like 2003 and wrote these things. So check them out Friday, Amazon. Never tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds, James.
What are the odds that we'll get not one but 2 Star Wars movies announced at Star Wars Celebration this year? Not 1, 2.
Just announced, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to go 85%. I think something's coming. I don't know if it's 2, but.
Well, that's why I wrote 2. Because I think 1, I think there's definitely 1. I think there's too much smoke around that Damon Lindelof one. I just feel like there's too much brewing. Like, you know, the old expression, Brock, I don't know if you're familiar with it, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's very, but I do feel like there's just too much. There was too much chatter about that one.
Yeah.
That I think that's actually happening. And I think we'll get that announcement. But I think they're in development. And I don't know if it's Taika Waititi's, but I feel like there's another one at some stage of development where they're going to feel comfortable enough to announce it. So I'm going to go 61%. I'm lower than you only because it's 2. I think 1 is a given. It's that second one because I do think they're a little wary on announcing things that aren't far enough along to announce.
Right.
Because of their track record. But that being said, I think they are. Mm-hmm. Let us know your things also. And every time of the odds, Ahsoka first episode will be shown at Celebration this year. Very Filoni thing to do. You saw Rebels season 2, I think, at Celebration, or 3 it was, and we saw the final season Rebels first episode at Celebration in Orlando. You saw it at Fan Expo. It's very Dave Filoni. What do you think of at least the first episode, maybe 2, but the first episode of Ahsoka being shown at Celebration?
I think it's very high because it just makes sense. Because they got to show something. I'm going to go 95% on this.
Yeah, I think they're going to show something. The question is, do they show the whole first episode? Because it feels like the show might still be a ways away from debuting. It might. Mm-hmm. So that's my one thing. So I'm going to go 67%. I think they're going to get a lot. It might just be what they got from Mando season 1, though, just like a nice sizzle reel like that.
Yeah.
But it's such a Filoni thing to do to show that first episode and just be like, "What do you think?" And everyone's like, "That was the greatest thing ever." And the final odd, Skeleton Crew will be about the beginnings of the First Order.
I like that one. I really do. Yeah, like Skeleton Crew, like that title could mean so many different things. So that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go 48% though, because I don't see them doing something that's villain based, but I could be wrong because they haven't really done that. Like, you know what I mean?
I do. I like. It is about kids. Jude Law and kids, right?
Yeah.
And is it about him rescuing kids from being abducted by the First Order?
Yeah.
Or is it about kids that do get abducted by the First Order? Is Captain Phasma a lead in this? And we're going to see Phasma as a little girl, not knowing that she's wouldn't that be amazing if she is in this and we don't know that she is Phasma? And then at whenever the series ends, we learn that she ends up becoming Captain Phasma. Like, that could be kind of a cool thing. Although, did they cover that in the book? I don't really know, and I don't care. This is a show, and that's what we're doing. But I'm going to go low as well. I'm going to go like 57% on this one, because again, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've only seen that one picture of Jude Law. Like, I have nothing to go. That and what Jon Favreau said. I really have no idea. Yeah, but exactly. I like it. I'm like, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
all right, it's time for Hollow News.
Hollow News.
Hollow News, da 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 da. Hollow News, da 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 da. Get my mics off.
Hollow News, the news you need to know right now. This year's Star Wars Celebration is just 45 days away, but Star Wars fans always have one eye on the horizon. Now we know that the next celebration will take place in 2025. Normally, the date and location of the next celebration is a mystery until the end of the closing panel of the current celebration. But in a new article released today, the official site, it was revealed when, but not where, the next celebration will be. While the article highlighted 5 reasons for fans to go to the Star Wars celebration for the first time, it was this one line that delivered the real news. And if you can't join us this year with the next Star Wars celebration not taking place until 2025, you have plenty of time to work on your cosplay. So there is no location as of yet. There's a lot of maybe this, maybe that, but we hope to know by April 10 on the last day of the London celebration. And as we were just speaking, Mando season 4 has been reported that they have the scripts of the 4th season are already written so it can connect more smoothly to the other Star Wars series like the upcoming Ahsoka. Jon Favreau has confirmed to BFM TV that season 4 scripts were written during the post-production of season 3, stating that he has written it already and that he and Dave Filoni have mapped it out during post-production so that the story can flow as one narrative. The 3rd season of The Mandalorian is due to premiere on March 1st, 1 week away. Although Disney has not yet officially announced the renewal for season 4, they're still seemingly close to connected as Ahsoka is planned to take place around the same time frame as The Mandalorian. And our final story today, a new look at Jedi Survivor DLC reveals that there will be an Obi-Wan Kenobi DLC for the game. The universe is quite expansive, but is only got to be the way because audience fell in love with the same key characters early on. No matter how much the Star Wars universe expands, it feels like it always comes back around the original characters, whether that be Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, or some other key characters that play a central role in the Star Wars mythos. Nevertheless, although as cameos from familiar faces, Respawn has done a great job of paving that way for a new hero named Cal Kestis to become a key player in the Star Wars universe. With Star Wars Jedi Survivor just a couple months away, the developers revealed that the DLC will be Obi-Wan themed and will allow Cal Kestis to dress as the fabled Jedi and wield a blue lightsaber. Although Obi-Wan Kenobi has a number of outfits over the years from his days fighting along Qui-Gon Jinn, training Anakin Skywalker, and living as a rogue Jedi in the desert caves, it appears that this particular DLC is inspired by the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series that aired on Disney Plus last year. Players will also get the blaster that Obi-Wan uses in the show, so it'll be fully decked out as the legendary Jedi. It's unclear if the pack will be sold separately after the game's releases, but it will be able at no extra cost for those who pre-order the game. So there you go. Reasons to go get your Jedi Survivor pre-order right now. And this has been your Hollow News.
Hollow News. Well,
that was some solid cutting and pasting on my part.
Good. That's how it should be. There should be a lot of it going on. I'm trying to figure out my top 5. We're doing top 5 Mando moments. So they don't include Grogu, Brock.
Okay.
They don't include Grogu. Do not include Grogu. They're all Mando. So anyway, let's go. I'm writing them down as we go. My number 5 is my favorite episode of The Mandalorian, and that's episode 2, the egg, the child, whatever the hell it's called. When he's on the side of the sand crawler, it's very like super Star Wars, very Indiana Jones. That's my number 5.
I have that in my list too, so I'll make it my number 5 as well. Like the slowest car chase you've ever seen with a sand crawler. It's still awesome. So it's just like, yeah, sweet.
My number 4 is the very opening of the show, season 1. I'll bring you in cold.
That's my number 4 as well. It was supposed to be my number 5, but like warm or cold, you're coming with me. It's just like, yeah, man. I know that's not the line.
My number 3 is the first time he removes his helmet in season 1. There's a lot of season 1. First time he removes his helmet in season 1. It's just a good moment. And we finally saw that it was Pedro Pascal under there for real. He wasn't playing a weird alien character. It was him.
My number 3 is going to be his like spear fight with the dude in the the planet that we meet Ahsoka for the first time. Michael Biehn. When he fights Michael Biehn with the spears, I'm like, that's fun. It's good.
Mine is the fight he has with Moff Gideon, the lightsaber fight he has with Moff Gideon and the spear. That's my number 2.
My number 2 is going to be him learning how to ride one of those. Oh God, what are they called? What are the wargs? Not wargs.
The blurg.
Blurg, thank you. He learns to write the blurg, where we're just like, oh, they're putting this in because it used to be concept art, but it was awesome nonetheless.
I love it. I have that Funko Pop. My number 1 is actually him fighting the Heavy with the Darksaber from the Book of Boba Fett. That's because I love Heavy's my favorite. The blurg is, I should have put the blurg on my list. I didn't, but the Heavy's there. I love the Heavy. That's another Funko Pop I have. The only Mando Funko Pops I have are Heavy and him riding the blurg. So I'm going with Heavy fighting Heavy.
My number 1 is similar, but just sort of his dialogue with the armor just prior or during after that scene. Before, after.
Yeah, it's before and after. She can.
Yeah, so
I think it's before. I think you're referring to before, though. I think it's what got us there.
I like the dialogue of that. I like they will immediately just write you off because you broke one rule. It's just like, oh man, that's hard.
That's
man.
after,
yeah. So
great. Those are our top 5 Mando moments. Let us know what your top 5 Mando moments are in the comments below. I have to edit this episode, Brock, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We'll see. The shortest episode ever. It's been fun, though. There's a snowstorm on its way, or it's headed right now, so we got to figure that out. That's always fun. Can't beat snowstorms. We haven't had enough of them this winter.
No.
Anything else you want to say, Brock?
No, that's it. I'm looking forward to next week because we will have watched Mandalorian season 3, episode 1. Just one episode, right? No multi.
I believe
episodes.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. As much as I like that, they need to stop doing it. Just one episode, or even if it's a new series, like just one. That's fine.
But I think Andor would benefit from the arcs. Arcs at a time, and I think Boba Fett would have benefited if they dropped the whole thing at once. And I'm not a binger. I like the one a week. Like I'm okay with one a week, but I just think I think they would. Are you still watching the Last of Us show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great show.
It's losing me. It's like it's been like a slow decline of me being like, you know what it feels like, honestly, and tell me if this is off base. Like a weaker version of season 1 of Walking Dead.
Yeah, but like Walking Dead is.
You can say I'm off base.
I said that at the beginning. It's like this show is trying to not be Walking Dead, so it's doing the opposite. It's like, but
it's not really though. It's still falling into like the same tropes. Like it's like they're like, oh, okay, we're in this city. Okay, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. There's just something about it that's just not hooking me, and I see everybody else.
I think they want to focus more on just like the humanity of it. Like it's just like, yeah, we understand there's this horde that you constantly have to interact with, but like they didn't want to do that. So it's like, if you like that or not, it's all.
But the first season of Walking Dead was kind of like that, though. It wasn't really about the zombies. The first season, like a half, weren't really about the zombies.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it now because it was pretty close to the books. But no, it was still. I feel like it was more violent than these books are.
Oh, it was definitely more violent. It was 100% more violent. But I don't know. I'm just having trouble. And I don't care about the outbreak thing because I feel that like it feels like people are like, they're not zombies. I'm like, they're zombies. Let's just shut up. They're zombies with cauliflower heads. Let's be real. It does make me want to play the game though, which is weird. It's like, I'm kind of like, I feel like this would be better as a game. Erin loves it, so I'm going to keep watching it because she dictates what I watch. But I don't know. It's not hooking me the way I was hoping it would. I think Pedro Pascal's great in it.
Yeah.
But he's better as Mario from the SNL skit. If anything, I don't know. I just I'll watch this episode and we'll see. I'm up for my opinion being changed. But the last 3 or 4, what are we on now? 5 or 6?
6. So there's.
I liked episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was okay. 3 I didn't really care for. 4 I didn't really care for. 5 was okay. I think I could be making all that up. I don't remember what happened in which episode.
I don't know. I will say like the last episode is like because he finally finds his brother. Spoiler.
Oh no,
Not
I didn't
really.
like that episode that much. I was bored. Right, I was bored.
Yeah, it was just that part. It was just seemed like
They're in
well,
Alexandria, right?
yeah. That seemed like it was just sort of like well, it wasn't part of your mission to find him, and then it just. But I'm trying to remember. They leave, and then what happens? Oh, right. He's gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I look forward to it every week. So it's just like, yeah.
That's all that counts. I look,
Yeah,
I could be
exactly.
wrong. It's just something I'm just not I maybe haven't bought in yet. I'll buy
Yeah.
in eventually. We'll see. I do have the game. I've just never played.
I'm just curious, like, if this season, when this ends, is like where chapter 1 of the game ends, right? Which is the first game. Like, does that end? Because from what I've been told, the chapter 2 of Last of Us really takes off on a dynamic, like, story about personalities and gender and what have you. I'm curious if they're just trying to rush to that because I think a lot of fans of the game love that. Or well, I think it was also very divisive too. But
It was
like,
yeah, because I remember I heard a lot of people hated the second game,
mhm.
and I was always trying to figure out why. And then Rob got it, and I think he liked it, but he didn't love it. I think he thought the story was stronger in the first one. And I haven't talked to him. I haven't asked him anything about the game. I just was like, because whenever I've talked to him briefly about the show, and I'm like, my thoughts are blah and blah. And he's like, and he's liking the show a lot. For last I talked to him. But when I said it, he goes, yeah, he goes, stuff that I don't like. I don't really know how to I don't really want to explain it anyway.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't play out. I don't know how to. I don't want to ruin anything either because even being vague, I might still. It's not that it's a spoiler, but I don't know. I don't want to enjoy the show. But anyway, so I like it can still hook me. There's 2 episodes to go. Let's see what you got. Dramatic conclusion come. I think there's 2 episodes left. I read there was 8, I think.
I thought there was 9.
Maybe there's not. I can't count.
I don't know. I didn't actually look it up. I just heard 9 recently.
I Googled it last week, but I also Googled it, which means it could have been a lie. Like, let's be honest here. Anyway, let's see how this week goes. Pedro Pascal will be on 2 hit shows, no doubt, this time next week. So, God, freaking guy, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did like his Mario Kart sign.
Yeah.
I thought that was well done, and I'm looking forward to the Mario Brother movie, which will probably be the next movie I see in the theater.
Nice.
It's a me. All right, Brock. Thanks for watching, everybody. Give us a like and subscribe. And Brock, you were always scum.
Rebel scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.